For this lesson, we're going to be constructing a cube for the rendering. First thing we want to do is we want to establish a horizontal line across the page. Take some time, make sure you line up your 90-degree triangle with the edge of the page, and then construct your line. Once you have your horizontal line, I'm going to want to do a cross somewhere near the center of the page. I am slightly off center and a little bit higher, just so that I can use this particular section as my focal point. Once I establish this cross in the center, I'm going to pick an arbitrary measurement, one that kind of fits this page. And I'm going to use 1.5 inches from the center dot here, 1.5 inches to the side, and then another 1.5 inches to the other side. And what that's going to do is it's going to establish the boundary for my cube. So now you see, here's the center. This is the left, this is the right. I've measured 1.5 inches across. Now, what I'm going to do is I need to split this particular cross on the top and on the bottom. I'm looking for a 45-55 split. So if I pick a point here on the top, I want my bottom point to be just slightly larger. I don't know if you can see that yet in the point, but it's going to make sense in just a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw lines to my vanishing points on the left and on the right, which are currently off screen. And you notice that I'm basically connecting the dots at this point. Now, you can see that I've established a diamond shape here in the center. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just slightly darken up that diamond for you so that you can see it clearer. Okay, now once we've established our diamond shape, what we're looking to do is put three 90-degree lines, three vertical lines from each of the diamond edges. So always use the edge of your paper as a reference point for a straight edge. And then draw your line 90 degrees vertically. There. Now we have the beginnings of a box. You can see I'm trying to do a cube in proportion, in perspective. Okay, now here comes the tricky part. You're going to have to use a little bit of guesstimation here to establish the height for a proportional cube. What I'm looking for is that Rubik's Cube proportion, where technically it is the same on all 6 sides, but it is drawn in perspective. Now, I'm going to pick a spot here. And it's okay if it's not the perfect spot because we can always slightly adjust it. But what you do need to remember is that these vanishing points that go off of the page, that eventually they're going to meet somewhere. And I'm going to have to establish a spot where this also meets the existing points. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have so far. So far, it's looking pretty good. That looks like a nice cube proportion. Now, to make our lives even easier, if I like the height that I have, I can go ahead and mirror the other side. If I don't like this side, I can always move this point higher or lower depending on what I like for the proportion. Now, I'm okay with this, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a horizontal line across to the other side. And what that does is that it's going to mirror my proportion for the cube. And if it's done correctly, this should also line up with the left vanishing point that goes off the page to the other side. Now you can see I've established a nice proportional cube. Now to finish this off, I want to imagine this cube is transparent. Now doing transparent, I have to follow the vanishing points to make sure that this cube will converge with the rest of the lines to the vanishing point. There. Now, if you imagine this cube is technically transparent, we see the lines on the outside. I will go ahead and darken those up so that we can establish the cube itself. And then I'm going to dash in the lines that show the transparency part of the cube. Now, you remember the lines we have here in the inside of that little diamond shape on the bottom. Notice I'm just going to dash in the shapes. And because it is transparent, I'm going to have to mark the back of the shape as well. Okay, so at this stage, if you're still following me, we've established a cube in perspective, in proportion, that both converge to the vanishing points. Now, as a checklist, I have 3 things that you're looking for at the very end of this particular exercise. Number 1, do all your lines converge where they're supposed to? Converge meaning that it gets smaller as it meets at the vanishing point. Number 2, are all of your 90-degree lines 90 degrees? And thirdly, if we were able to put a small ellipse into that diamond shape and another ellipse into this lower diamond shape, is it in hierarchy, meaning that is the top one smaller and it's getting larger as it moves its way down? Okay, if you have all 3 done, then you've constructed a nice proportional cube in perspective.